Pace is dropped on a new week of soccer down here. John here, you there. It is a reaction Monday on a Labor Day. So Labor Day means we labor. I apologize for 9:06. I was trying to get my sodas actually, and I didn't have time. I thought I had a glass down here. Traditionally, for those of you who are here every day, regardless of whatever platform it is, and we now do multiple platforms. It's not just on Twitch anymore, even though that is our home base. Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, Live, all that stuff goes to YouTube later. And traditionally, morning Bam, yeah, we'll get into we'll get into reffing down here today, and then Bart Keeler will join us on Wednesday, and we'll get into we'll get into all of that. So yes, Bam, get your reffing down here shoes ready for Wednesday night for you, Wednesday morning for us. And I thought I had a glass down here. Traditionally you'll see me, with a glass, and probably is one of the boss's Auburn glasses, just because those are the ones that are closest to you. And I thought I had a glass down here, and I'm fishing around, and I'm like, where's my glass? And I'm like, okay, I don't have one. And what I'm guessing is that the boss, and trying to make the office as clean as humanly possible. And so I guess she was trying to clean up the place. No real shock. And so I didn't have a glass. And so this morning I'm actually having to do it in a commercial sense. I'm actually having to do it this way. So short version is having to do it with the 16.9s this morning instead of actually doing it in a cup. So I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. But yep, we'll get into the weekend that was in Major League Soccer, and we will get into Atlanta United and their draw in Dallas. And I know that Bam's kind of on a theme this morning, and he's not far from everything else that is on folks' minds. Trust me, he ain't the only one. So it is, we'll be going over everything from the weekend in Major League Soccer, anything on your mind on a Monday, because it was also the last week of Premier League, Europe, all that kind of stuff, getting ready for international duty. And what that means is this week is going to be, we're not, doing anything completely and totally out of the ordinary, but we will be doing a little bit more guest-driven stuff. And tomorrow morning, so I guess here's the traffic for the week. Tomorrow morning, 9:30 our time, we'll catch up with Lloyd Hours. Lloyd is the technical director for the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, and he is back home in England. And we'll be catching up with Lloyd tomorrow morning. We'll catch up with Coach and find out how things are going. He spent 9 days over there and was heading back to England just in time to see the wildfires at Lahaina start. And so we'll be getting into the futsal that was created while he was there for 9 days. We'll get into the updates of all the storylines and everything. And it's a continuing story that we have here at SDH that, we're kind of keeping our eye on as it continues to grow. The last nation on this planet to have a national soccer federation, a national soccer team. So they're working on it. And Lloyd, being the technical director, is in charge of working everything from the ground up. And so we'll be catching up with Lloyd tomorrow morning at 9:30 our time, 2:30 in England. 9 plus 5 is 14. 14 is 2. So, so 9:30 our time tomorrow. We'll be catching up with Lloyd Hours and getting ready for everything that's what he and everyone is trying to build there in the Marshall Islands. And it's a bit of a deeper story than just soccer, but we'll get into that on Tuesday. Wednesday, if Dylan Butler can join us, it'll be Dylan at 10, and then reffing down here as a bit of a carryover from today, I'm sure. Bart Keeler joining us at 10:30 to talk national teams and to talk reffing down here, because it's one of the storylines from the match in Dallas that we'll be getting into, listening to the highlights of Mike and Jason coming up in just a little bit. And so it was another Storyline of pro. Welcome to Monday. There for it, and we're talking pro. We'll get into that. Bam has already gotten into it involving LAFC and Ted Uncle, and we kind of knew that was coming. And we'll get into it also with Izmir Pekmic and with what we saw with Atlanta United FC Dallas. And I know we'll probably drive Michael Head crazy, but once again, it's just we're talking about it two separate tracks about officiating in general, match in general, and then when you had the times blending. And I know that the biggest thing is repercussions and responsibility. And when you have a monopoly, it's kind of hard, but you got to keep on it. Otherwise, you accept it for the behavior that it is. 10 o'clock on 10:30 Thursday, Nico Moreno will join us for Thursdays with Nico. We're going to try to track down the USL guys because, A, they've got a jersey out, and it's through our friends at Olive & York because, Olive & York seems to be my number 2 outfitter these days. And since last Thursday was the last Thursday of last month, we kind of got busy with midweek whip around reviews off of Wednesday matches and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to try to shoot to have them on Thursday morning show, and we'll go from there. As I sit here now with my legal pad not anywhere close to me, and I know that this is, once again, you're sitting there going, man, John, you do not have it together. The answer is no, I don't. Hang on just a second. Now I'm going from one end of the room to the other because I didn't have my notebook with me. Let's see. Am I missing anybody? Lloyd, Dylan, Bart, hopefully the USL guys, Nico Moreno. No, okay. So that's the traffic as of right now for this week. And we've got questions. Any questions that you guys have about the weekend, we'll get into. But obviously, we've got the win by the Twos over FC Cincinnati. They kept their mathematical hopes alive, chasing after that 7 spot in the Eastern Conference MLS Next Pro. Next match for them is Sunday. They are in Huntsville. That's another thing I've got to do. I got to try to see if we can catch up with Jack Collison this week, because our good friend Jack Collison is the head coach in Hunt City, and Will has been able to see all of that firsthand. And we'll see if we can catch up with Jack either in a 1v1 or if we can catch up with him live, depending on the practice schedule this week. So hopefully we can catch up with Jack as Hunt City gets ready to chase after and solidify that playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. So next up for Atlanta United 2 is a match in Huntsville at Joe Davis on Sunday night. So it was a 3-1 win for the Twos against FC Cincinnati. It was goals by Tamimi, Jay Fortune, and Nicholas Firmino. As Nicholas Firmino continues to chase after the Golden Boot in MLS Next Pro. I think he's a goal behind. And 3 matches to go, and we'll see what happens there. It is at Huntsville, back home against Inter Miami, and then decision day, last day of the regular season, they are in Columbus. So it's the next 3 Sundays for Atlanta United 2. Big win, kept them mathematically alive, and we will go from there. All right, opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And if I can scroll up fast enough, there we go. Here's your QR code. For those of you who are watching on Twitch, do not confuse it to the QR code that is to the right. That is in hour number 2. Large QR code is our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. They take 10% off. They take 15% off your purchase when you use the code SoccerDownHere15. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the youth game, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Since it's Labor Day, it's a 2-parter. One having to do with Labor Day and one definitely not having to do with Labor Day. Since it's Labor Day, what are you doing? Are you going to be cooking out later today? How do you spend your Labor Day other than listening and hanging out with us here at SDH? How do you spend your Labor Day? Do you sleep in? Do you kind of lounge? Do you catch up on? Is this a catching up on stuff that you wouldn't have the normal time to catch up with? Is there cooking out in your future later this afternoon? Are you cracking open your grill? And what I mean by that is the physical thing that you have in your backyard to cook things, not, opening your mouth. You cracking open your grill? Are you grilling out for dinner this afternoon, lunch today? What are you doing? What are you doing for? What are you doing for your Labor Day? Are you laboring, or are you kicking it back and taking full advantage of the 3-day weekend? And we'll get into the unified team too. Well done there next week. And that was the other thing that I want to try to chase this week. Now that you mention it, I want to try to track down Marty Jellamy, and we can get him on to discuss the unified team. And we'll try and have a separate 1v1 put together, kind of recapping the season with Marty and with some other folks, trying to piece together what happened this season. Successful season for the unified team as well. They got to play the FC Dallas unified team. So here's before I get into opening kickoff, I know, sidebar, shocking. So here's Jason's weekend. And thanks to everybody who was listening to all of us on SDH on our various platforms, catching up on the college game. Thanks to our friends at Oglethorpe yesterday. Oglethorpe women's team and the Pioneers of Transylvania. And they do have a bat for their mascot, at least on the logo. Transylvania 2-0 winners over Oglethorpe at Oglethorpe. It was good to see everybody up in Brookhaven. And so here's Jason's weekend, just to give you an idea and reinforce just how insane he is. So he leaves to go to Dallas, and he and Mike do the Dallas match with Atlanta United on 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. After that, the unified game was after the match in Dallas. So around 10:45 Eastern time was when they started that match at Toyota Stadium. Then, so he and the Hoff, Joe Freihofer, called that match. So he gets up incredibly early to leave the hotel and head to the airport. Flies back to Atlanta on Sunday. And while Drew Dickinson and I were calling the Oglethorpe match, Jason had landed and had gotten to Georgia State in time to call the Georgia State match. After the Georgia State match is over, he drives up 75 and calls Kennesaw State and Florida. 1-1 draw. Big result for Kennesaw State yesterday, by the way. So Jason calls 4 matches in roughly a 24-hour period. He's insane, and that's why we love it. So Jason had 4 matches in 2 days. I had the twos starting our triple header Saturday. So I had the twos, and then I had Oglethorpe. I only had 2 in a 24-hour period. Jason had 4. And then I had high school football before that. But, yeah, that was Jason's weekend. 2 in Dallas, 2 in the Atlanta area, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those are the days of the week. So, so we were kind of busy, and it picks back up again today. But, first question is, what are you doing? You taking advantage of the Labor Day sales like Hutch, which apparently, and I already have. I had one sale that was 75% off, and another that was basically 50%. So I'll be traversing and seeing what's going on when it comes to sales today, and burn a hole in my credit card, I imagine, by the time we're done. Then I think just pretty much taking it easy and getting ready for Tuesday. And obviously, since it's high school football season, that's what I'm doing. I don't know how much relaxing we'll be doing. I will definitely be laboring on Labor Day. But the other thing I wanted to get into for opening kickoff this morning, before we get into Atlanta United and Dallas, and get your thoughts ready for that and put them in the queue. And Bam is already talking about Ted Uncle, and that's part of the process too. So whatever's on your mind from the weekend, go ahead and line it up in the queue. I don't know if you saw this. This made basically every paper in England this past weekend. And we'll go with the Telegraph's version from Sam Dean. Police are investigating an alleged assault after a man was said to have aimed a headbutt at Roy Keane at the Emirates on Sunday. Keane was working as a pundit for Sky for Arsenal's match with Manchester United when he was allegedly attacked by a fan. Footage emerged on social media of Micah Richards furiously grappling with a man inside the stadium, and literally it is like a 3-second TikTok of afterwards, whatever happened. And Micah is standing between alleged dude and Roy Keane and trying to calm him down. Yes, Guy said the video was filmed immediately after the alleged assault. The incident is thought to have occurred as Keane and Richards attempted to make their way down to pitch side for their post-match punditry duties. It is claimed Richards quickly stepped in to push the fan away from Keane, with Sky saying the former England defender was, quote, acting to defuse the situation. In a statement, Metropolitan Police said, quote, police are investigating following an assault that is alleged to have occurred at the Emirates during the Arsenal-Manchester United match on Sunday, September 3. There have been no arrests. Inquiries are ongoing. Sky had their statement. Once again, Micah Richards was acting to defuse the situation. Arsenal club spokesman said their thing after the 3-1 win and all that. Once again, and I think this probably could apply to pundits as well. You know, what are you doing? Dude, seriously, what are you doing? Allegedly. And why would you be, and this is somewhat rhetorical, why would you be so fired up as to want to go find Roy Keane? And literally, it's like a 2 or 3 second video, and it's out there. TalkSport had it. Everybody had it. Why, in the wide world of sports, would you be remotely interested in wanting to headbutt Roy Keane? Or headbutt a pundit or headbutt anybody? I'm so mad at this pundit or this individual that I'm going to wander over and attempt to headbutt them. I'm that mad. Really? Okay, well, good for you. And legitimately, if there's more of an extended video or anything like that, and this is, in fact, what went down, really? I mean, really, dude? You feel like you want to headbutt somebody. Go to a gym. Go to wrestling school. But you felt compelled to want to go headbutt Roy Keane because he angered you. He said something bad about my club, so I'm going to go find Roy Keane in whatever suite or dining area he's in, and I'm going to go headbutt him. Because that's the first thing that pops into my head. Instead of elevating a voice and raising a middle and, an index finger and sitting there and pointing and trying to find and sit there and go, Keane, you blankety, blankety, blank, you suck, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go headbutt Roy Keane. And if this individual is found to be this allegedly idiotic, don't let him in the building again. No. Just stop. It's like, don't. You don't, if you can't control yourself, then just no. And that wasn't, sadly, the only instance of stupidity down here this weekend. A gentleman in his 60s decided to do some really stupid stuff. I want to get the particulars once again. It was at the Crystal Palace match. And this was prime stupidity down here. So I guess stupidity down here is opening kickoff. From our friends at the Guardian, PA Media, Guardian Sport, Metropolitan Police have confirmed an arrest was made after Wolves alleged one of their players was subjected to discriminatory abuse during Sunday's game at Crystal Palace. Quoting police, on Sunday, 3 September, a man aged in his 60s was arrested on suspicion of racially aggravated public order offense after allegedly racially abusing a player during Crystal Palace v. Wolves match at Selhurst Park. He was taken to a South London police station. The statement added racial abuse will absolutely not be tolerated, and officers remain committed to working with the Premier League and clubs to take action against those responsible. Wolves reported the incident involving an as-of-yet unnamed player to officials and stadium authorities during the match at Selhurst Park. A supporter situated in the main stand subsequently ejected from the ground, according to a Crystal Palace statement. Hosts won the Premier League match 3-2. Crystal Palace came out with 3 sentences to discuss. Wolves came out with 2 sentences to discuss. Wolves very disappointed to report one of our players was the target of discriminatory abuse by an opposing fan during today's game with Crystal Palace. Offering our full support to the player involved and have provided a formal statement to the Metropolitan Police. Racism or discrimination in any form is completely unacceptable and should never be left unchallenged. So we had that this weekend. Yay. Once again, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. If you're found guilty of doing these kinds of things, you should be banned from the buildings forever. Not a couple of years. Not a length of time. Forever. And I know once again it gets into the whole point of, okay, how are you going to administer the punishments? Facial recognition technology, whatever. And I know that the guy is going to, that particular individual, allegedly, any individual, allegedly, that gets busted in a situation like this is going to consider it a badge of honor when they sneak into a game. But X number of years does me no good. Does me no good. You fine him. Cool, great. Aim it toward a charity, like kick it out. Speaking of being kicked out, any individual in these situations needs to be kicked out of their leagues, matches forever. Brought up on charges to the fullest extent of the law. And, you think you're all that. You puff out your chest. You want to choke. You want to sit there and headbutt a pundit. You want to sit there and say something completely and totally inappropriate toward a player. You think you're a role model. You think you're a real example for folks. You are an example in the wrong way. And maybe we'll talk to either Michael or Greg on Friday about this kind of stuff. I'll have to write it down to remember. But once again, we have stupidity down here in the opening kickoff. Charge the individuals to the fullest extent of the law. Get them out of the stadium, even though knowing full well that their friends are going to sit there and go, hey, man, you want to go to the match? Oh, I don't know if I can. Yeah, we'll get you in, Wear a wig. Do the Bobby Valentine thing with the fake mustache. But it reminds us all that we need to be vigilant in these situations. We need to be vigilant in these situations. Something happens. Be the first to sit there and report it if you've seen it. Be an example for others. And these folks need to be nowhere near this sport. Nowhere near any sport where you have this kind of behavior. But vigilance after the sentencing and mandating and maintaining that individual or individuals should be nowhere near a match is the big part here. So 2 rounds of stupidity down here this past week, and that's opening kickoff, in addition to what you're doing for Labor Day. And we'll get into that too. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code, the one on the left, for those of you who are watching on Twitch. Once again, don't forget to use the code SOCCERDOWNHERE15 to get 15% off your purchase of Kickoff Coffee. And thanks to everybody who has purchased so far and started their kickoff. They've kicked off their day with Kickoff Coffee. Thanks to everybody who's done that so far. And thanks to everybody who will. Once again, they in turn, after you use the code SOCCERDOWNHERE15, they take 10%, reinvest it into the youth game, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay, so what's on your mind this morning? We'll get into that. If I could click the right buttons. So, yes, Bam is not a fan of Uncle. The man from Uncle, not a fan. Bam says LAFC should have been up 3-0 inside of 20 minutes. Couldn't finish your chances. Yes, Denny Bouanga. Yikes. Miami deserved it. Hutch, time to start poaching EPL refs and putting them in charge of pro. With Howard Webb. Yeah, we'll get into reffing down here today and on Wednesday. Bam, good to see Chiellini and Messi swap tops. Did see a bit of the Atlanta game. Dallas second goal, cracking goal. Knicks, will Inter Miami actually lose a match? Inquiring minds want to know. I think I think they will. And I think it's going to come in that schedule compression that we talk about. And you look at where things are, and apparently word has come out that Lionel Messi will be active in match number 1 of the 2-match window for Argentina. Came out to Albi Celeste Talk on the Bird app, or the 280 character app, or the X, or whatever you want to call it. But it appears that Messi will be active in the first match of the window, and whether he'll be active at the match in Bolivia is anybody's guess. But once again, that came from our friends at Albi Celeste Talk. So, they're pretty reliable in these kinds of situations. So keep an eye on what it looks like there, and we'll see what happens. But the schedule for Inter Miami, now that Nix has brought this up, they are one of a handful of teams actually playing this weekend. And they're going to have, I think, half a dozen folks away on international duty. So it might be the Sporting Kansas City match. No Messi, no Kromoski, and there's like 3 or 4 others. No Robert Taylor. I mean, they're going to be without folks for this matchup against Sporting Kansas City at Drive Pink this weekend. It's on season pass, 7-14-4 hosting 8-11-8. And early odds, early juice boxes had Miami at a -200. At a -200 in that one. And so since they're going to be without folks, the get-in price for this particular match is $180. Get-in price was $180. So if you're looking to be in the end zones in the metal inflated DRVP&K Stadium with its attendance figures, $180, you can get in and it's yours. But you look at the schedule. Once they come back from international duty, it starts off with the match in Atlanta. You and 80,000 of your friends, or 70,000 of your friends, probably more like 80. Then 4 days later, they host Toronto. Then go to Orlando. 3 matches, 8 days. Then Open Cup final on the 27th. So look at the matchups on the 24th and the 30th. That'd be my first example. Because, I mean, seriously, Toronto, like with half a dozen folks out for the Kansas City match, it might be the Kansas City match this weekend. That'd be my first guess. But then once again, you've got the match here in Atlanta. You play Toronto at home. You go to Orlando. And in the middle of that week, 3 matches in 7 days, 7 days, you've got the Open Cup final. You want to win the Open Cup final. So then it would lend itself to thinking, do you want to be as fresh as possible? And it might be both Orlando and the NYC game after the 24th and the 30th. 24th, you go to Orlando. Open Cup final on the 27th, where you host Ben Olsen and the Houston Dynamo. So keep an eye on the Orlando match, and then keep an eye on the NYC match after the fact, after the result. Once again, it's another home game, so you could see some roster rotation there. Then you've got the game in Chicago, where apparently it is sold out at Soldier Field. And then you host Cincinnati on the 7th. And you end up with the Charlotte match that got pushed back, and you've got the one on the 18th, and then you finish up back-to-back Charlotte and Charlotte, 18th and 21st. They squeezed that Charlotte game that got pushed back because of Open Cup, or was it Leagues Cup? One of the cups. They pushed back that to the 18th. And if your playoff situation is decided by September 27th, after you've played an Open Cup, you'll have 5 matches to go after Open Cup. And if you're nowhere close, then you could see some rotation there anyway. So keep an eye on schedule compression around Open Cup. Keep an eye on the Kansas City match this weekend, and then the Mad Dash after Open Cup if you're nowhere close, and then you're just kind of like playing out the string. So, Nix, I guess that was a long answer to a short question. But that would be my original guess. And then, of course, Hutch is like, resistance is futile. You will be messiated. It's the messy assimilation. We now have a word for it. It's you've been messiated. Bam, you don't want me to play piano. You don't. For those that don't necessarily get the chance to see it every week, there is a piano down here in the office directly behind me. It belongs to the boss. And the boss plays piano. I do not. And anything involving a piano, I do not do very well. And let's see. For instruments for me, it is sax, clarinet, and drums, not piano. Piano does not go well with me. That does not go well. Knicks, the unified team had a strong end of the season. It was great to watch. Yeah, and shout out to Matt Moore and everybody with Atlanta United that wanted to boost the presence of the unified team this year. Jason and I got to go and call the match at Red Bull Arena before the match against Red Bulls on the 24th of June. Then Jason and Joe got to call the match in Dallas. I mean, they're traveling to places they haven't traveled before, getting to experience parts of the country that they haven't been able to experience as a club. Getting to play on the field at Mercedes-Benz Stadium is one thing, but against Charlotte. But then you go to Red Bull Arena to take on Red Bulls Unified. Then you go to Dallas to take on FC Dallas Unified. Really cool stuff going on with our friends at the Unified team. And, well, like I said, we'll try and track down Marty Jellamy, their head coach, and give you a separate program on the network where you can kind of get caught up about Unified and what it's all about and what it's like to piece it together. And they get to practice once a week at the facility and have role models and Atlanta United players that are, coaches and guides and things like that about their soccer playing and all that kind of stuff. So it's very, very cool experience. We'll dive into it a little deeper this week. Hopefully we can have Marty Jellamy on. And like I said, I'm putting out the bat signal now, and I'll track Marty down and see if we can do it as a 1v1 or have him live on the air. So we'll try and figure out if we can do something like that. Bam says yesterday was Father's Day in Australia. Father's Day for us is a couple of months back. So we get to have ours in spring, summer. Mother's Day, Father's Day. Hutch, you are absolutely correct. Shopping is how real Americans celebrate the holidays. No. Bam, you do not want me to sing under any circumstance. Kiss is the pre-match entertainment for the AFL Grand Final this year. And it looks like it's Collingwood and everybody else. And I think the playoffs kick off this weekend. It's a really odd format. One doesn't play 8. It's like 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3, 5 plays 8, 6 plays 7, and then the survivors work their way through. It was the beginning of the AFL Women's League. AFLW had their first round of action this past weekend. Was listening to that too. No, Bam, you do not want me to sing any Billy Joel. You don't want me to sing, period, especially after all the matches I called in the last 3 days. So you don't want me singing, period. But sing us a song of the Piano Man. Not happening. So that's not going to happen this morning. All right, so let's get into Atlanta United and FC Dallas. Obviously, we'll get into it today, and I'll apologize tomorrow. It might be a little repetitive for the folks that were sleeping in and not, getting the chance to hang out with us live here on Monday. But, this is going to be a bit of a reffing down here excursion. So we will be getting into it and discussing it. 5-8, 6-7, loser go home. Yeah, it's just, and that it was like you're going, yeah. So it was Ryder. Okay, so the Ryder Cup team has been announced, at least overseas it has. And so there's a lot of little things. 1, 4, 2, and 3 winners get a bye. Losers play the winners of the. Yeah, see, it's like you're adding more games and things. Absolutely. It is an odd playoff format, but what it does is it gives you a lot of stuff. It gives you a lot of games to kind of roll through in a very short period of time when it comes to what's going down. Let's see. Twitter's the X is kind of busy this morning, so a lot of stuff going on in a newsian sense, and so we'll get into it. Obviously, getting into it across the board here this morning. All right, so getting into the idea of the match on Saturday night. 97 degrees at kick, which meant that you got hydration breaks and things like that. Hutch says likes the direction they're headed in. Now it's time for the chemistry to equilibrate. Players better work with one another, and you'll have that time to do that for those that aren't on international duty, and then everybody else in general. But incident early on in the match in Dallas, and it kind of set the tone, and it will set the tone for reffing down here over the next couple of days. Handful of minutes in, and Miles Robinson is pushed from behind. He is pushed down to the ground. Ball stays in. Dallas capitalizes on Miles down. No foul being called. Pass into the middle goes by Brad Gazan, 4th minute, 1-0. And it's, it took Atlanta United a little while to get the engine turned over. And you end up with it being 1-0 until the tail end of the first half. Then this moment happened, courtesy of our friends Mike and Jason on the call, and our friends at 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app.
Turning into the central channel and coming forward now into the attacking third. Ahead to Yakimakis. Backheel to Lennon, top of the 18. Back to the left. Here's Almada with a pitch to Yakimakis. Header! Score! Boom, Yakimakis. It counts. And it's 1-1 in the 44th minute.
So you had that goal, and it was 1-1 at that point. And Gigi scores his 13th, and he just absolutely skies over the two defenders. Timing was right there, squared away. And 1-1 at the break. Then at second half, you still had a couple of moments. And like I said, we'll get into the individual moments involving Izmir Pekmich at the end of this. But you end up with another goal on the board from another new face. And you know how Joe and I will sit there, inside Mercedes-Benz, and we'll kind of do the stone cold thing where he's kind of wondering what time it is. Is it 3:16 yet? Well, we're getting close. And it was Saba Lobjanidze getting on the scoring sheet for Atlanta United. And he gets his first goal, and Atlanta United is on the front foot in Dallas. Once again, courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app.
Second ball dug away by Wiley to Sosa. Sosa playing a long diagonal to an open Saba on the right wing. Lennon overlapping. Here's Saba to the edge of the 18. Into the box. Saba Lobjanidze. Saba with a touch. Shot! Score! Saba Lobjanidze beats Jimmy Maurer to the far post, and Atlanta United has come back to take the lead.
2-1, finishes up at 2-2, and Atlanta United gets a draw on the road. Gets a point, and I know a lot of folks will sit there and say that, and probably inside the locker room as well, that that they didn't hang on to a lead. Should have been 3, ended up with 1. You still end up with a result on the road. Very, very tough to do in Major League Soccer. So Atlanta United gets the point on the road. And the way things are right now, once again, remember that it is not a full off weekend in Major League Soccer. You will have matches this weekend. We'll get into that coming up in just a little bit on the other side of this. So Eastern Conference standings. Cincy 10 points clear at 57 points. They're in the postseason. New England and Orlando both at 47 points. New England has a better points per game average right now, one less match played, 26-27, and they also have a better goal difference. Philly is fourth at 46. Columbus is at 45. Atlanta's at 42. Nashville is at 40. Then there's that cushion. Spacing between Nashville and Montreal. Montreal's at 35 points. They're in 8th. DC is 9th at 33. If things were to stop today, it would be Atlanta and Orlando in round 1. 3 versus 6. Below the playoff bar right now, once again, we talk about the fun in the Eastern Conference and how crazy the Eastern Conference is. Playoff bar is DC at 33 points. Chicago's at 32. Charlotte, with a match in hand, is at 26 matches played, 31 points. NYC, 30 points. Red Bulls, 29. So basically, you've got 5 teams separated by 4 points chasing after that last playoff spot. Chasing after the 9, DC, Chicago, Charlotte, NYC, and Red Bulls. Miami, I don't know if you've heard of them. They're on a bit of a run of form. 7-14-4, 25 matches, 25 points. And once again, they've got matches in hand, and they can push toward that 9. Toronto right now, wooden spoon in the Eastern Conference, 27 matches, 22 points with a record of 4-13-10. Western Conference. I mean, if you think about it right now, Atlanta United would be second in the West. That's how crazy the Eastern Conference is this year. St. Louis, all caps are first. 47 points. Seattle's at 41. And we mentioned how crazy things are in the East toward the bottom to get into the playoffs. Right now, the jockeying for position is where it is in the West. Seattle 41, LAFC's at 40, but LAFC also has matches in hand. You have 4 teams all with 11 wins. Seattle 11-9-8, 41 points. LAFC 26 matches played, so matches in hand behind in front of the teams that are in front of them, 40 points. Salt Lake's at 40 points. Behind massively in goal difference to LAFC, 11 goals, 10 to -1. Houston and Ben Olsen, 39 points. Vancouver's at 38. So really, you're, like I said, 3 points, 5 teams, 2 through 7 in the Western Conference. Nuts. 2 through 6. 7 and 8, Minnesota, San Jose. They each have 9 wins. Minnesota ahead on goal difference. Get you to 9, and that's Dallas. 9, 10, and 7, 34 points. Below them right now in the Western Conference, Austin at 33 points. Keep an eye on Josh Wolf. Kansas City, 32 points. Portland's at 30, LAG's at 29, Colorado, wooden spoon overall. 3, 13, and 10. 19 points. 16 goals scored in 26 games this year. They've only won once at home. They're better away from home than they are on the road. 2 wins to 1. And that's where we are standings-wise. But remember, this weekend, it's kind of a third schedule. Games do exist. You've got a lot of international play Thursday, Friday. TNT, Curacao, Panama, Martinique, Guatemala, El Salvador's on Thursday. Friday, 4, 7, and 9, Haiti, Cuba, Grenada, Suriname, and Jamaica and Honduras. Saturday, you've got 4 matches in Major League Soccer. DC hosting San Jose at 7:30. So that could impact DC as they're right there at the crest in the Eastern Conference. Miami, Kansas City. We talked about Miami and Kansas City. Miami with like half a dozen dudes out on international duty. It's going to be an interesting side for Tata Martino taking on Kansas City at home. New England on the road at Minnesota. and then Portland and LAFC, because LAFC's got to make up these matches. It's at Providence Park on Saturday night. They're the late game. Sunday, you have 3 more international matches in CONCACAF Nations League, but you've also got LA in all caps, 8 o'clock Sunday night on Season Pass. So, obviously, everybody's going to be paying attention to that Miami match and what's going on with them. DC, the 9, New England, the 2, and then matches involving Western Conference teams. So you got 5 matches this weekend in Major League Soccer trying to make things up for teams that have matches in hand that they've got to figure out. And then next Tuesday, once again, more Nations League action going on before we get back into things on the 16th. Saba and Abram are playing on the 12th, GZ on the 10th. Yep. I mean, and yep, likely a 10-hour return flight for Saba from Norway. So for Velasco, Messi, Almada, keep an eye on what's going on in South American qualifying. Like I said, the 280 character app had Messi playing in that first match, maybe not so much in Bolivia. We'll see. And like we said, playing at the stadium in La Paz, which is not sea level. Think Denver twice, and then the Sears Tower. 10,516, you got to add another 1,400 feet to whomever's now sponsoring the Sears Tower. But you've got another 1,400 feet. 11,592 is what you're playing at in La Paz. So keep an eye on your favorite international guys and the minutes they're playing, or are they just sitting? Gigi was called up for a Greek national team, no surprise. So when it comes to your favorite teams and your favorite players, just because they're on international duty, they don't necessarily play. I mean, Gigi, I think in the 2 matches last time, it was a start and coming in as a sub, so it was like 90 minutes total or 120 minutes total. Didn't quite play the full 2 matches, so keep an eye on how international teams are managing their players as well. So keep an eye on all of that going forward. And with the players that are coming in, and don't forget, by the way, on the 16th, at Hard Rock at Reverb, early start. I think it's 11 a.m. start for us. So it's brunch with us at Hard Rock and Reverb. But I'll keep you posted on start times and things like that. If my math is correct, 5 hours means 12. I think 12 or something like that. So it'll be an early start. Keep an eye on that. We're all the particulars on the 16th for that match. Atlanta's won 4 of the last 31 on the road. And I was looking at it the other day, Nix, and I'll look at it again real quick. In the Eastern Conference, I think there's only one team that's above 500 on the road this year. And it's not Cincinnati. There are 2 teams that are 500 or better on the road in the Eastern Conference. Cincinnati ended up being one of them. Orlando is the other. Everybody else is below 500 on the road. No one's doing particularly well, and there are teams that are doing a lot worse than Atlanta on the road. Cincinnati 5-3-5 at home. Orlando 7-3 away from home. 5-3-5 away from home. Orlando 7-3-4 away from home. Everybody else is below 500. Below 500 in the Eastern Conference. To add to the craziness that we talk about. In the Western Conference, 3 teams are 500 or better on the road. And shockingly, one of them is Minnesota at 6-6-2. Minnesota at home, 3-2-7. Fans don't get to sing Wonderwall a whole lot, do they? 6-2 away from home for Pookie time. RSL, there's a reason that they're fourth right now. 5-4 at the Riot, 6-4-3 away from home. Then the other team that's 500 or better in the Western Conference, Seattle, 5-3 away from home. So 5 teams out of 29, 5 out of 29, 500 or better on the road this year. That should tell you a lot about Major League Soccer on the whole. Yeah, it is loony, Hutch. Exactly. Hutch also says that Inter Barca getting stronger and stronger, it seems. Yeah. I mean, and it's once again familiarity of the younger players integrating Facundo Farias. It's going to be a problem, except when he gets yellow cards. And remember, all of this build is to set up next year, to get everything squared away for next year. All of this is getting ready for that. Getting ready for that. Now, Bam, go ahead and line it up. I know that you want to talk about Uncle, and I know that I want to talk about Ismail Pekmic, and I know that we're going to talk about him again on Reffing Down here on Wednesday with Bart. And I don't know what Ismail Pekmic was looking at. I really don't. And I mean this in the collective. There should have been at least a yellow, if not a red, on the stomping of Brooks Lennon. And the fact that it didn't even go to VAR, or that VAR didn't even think it was worthy of review, we don't know. We don't know if there was any kind of a look from VAR and they go to Ismail Pekmic's ear and go, don't worry about it. Then, yeah, the Lennon thing, well, first off, the Miles thing, okay, I get it. It's early. And if that's how you're going to run your match, if you're the center ref, okay, set that precedent. Oh, cool, I get it. But once again, Pekmic was either missing things or was. I mean, I'm going to have to go back and watch the match all over again with Callum and Jamie on Apple TV Plus. But there were too many things where you're sitting there and you're going, what in the wide world of sports is he looking at or not looking at? Brooks Lennon one for me was a standout moment. I just, and then you're giving fouls and cards and you're uneven and you're all over the place. So I don't know what was guiding Ismail Pekmic in this match. I really don't. But the two moments that stand out, one, like I said, the Miles Robinson moment in the 4th minute, if that was how you were going to dictate your match, fine. You're going to let physical play go, then be consistent about it. That's all I want. But when Brooks Lennon gets stomped on from behind and nothing, less than nothing, play on, everything's cool. Okay, sure. Why not? Just, I don't know. I don't know what folks were looking at this past weekend. Then Bam with Uncle. Bam goes, how the hell can you give us a yellow in the 2nd minute, then nothing else till the 63rd? Once again, it goes to game management. And like I said, we'll talk to Bart about game management on Wednesday with Reffing Down here. But, Bam, you will be interested to know that Dave Denholm, the voice of LAFC, with all of the calls that Uncle was making or not making, Denholm made a point in the match saying that the match was being reffed like it was being played in Fort Lauderdale. And and that's Dave. You're going to stand up for your home team. But yeah, Denholm made the point on air last night. Yeah, it sounds like this is being reffed like it's in Fort Lauderdale. That was a quick Denholm impression. It needs some work. But yeah, Denholm was all over Ted Uncle last night. And it's, it's not a surprise. after what we saw or didn't see. But yeah, Izmir Pekmic for Atlanta and Dallas, I have no idea. And VAR, I have no idea. But all I want is consistency. That is all I want. That's all I ever want. Just be consistent. If it's a foul early, it's a foul late. Don't overcorrect like you're hydroplaning and you sit there and it's like, oh, crap, I'm in the other lane. I've got to overcorrect. And then you end up jackknifing your car and it ends up in a ditch, figuratively speaking. Don't overcorrect. Be consistent. Apparently, that's something we got to work on. But yeah, Uncle and Pekmic, at least in the two examples closest to us, were right there with what we were talking about. So yeah, reffing down here on Wednesday with Bart. Bart will get into it, but yeah, like I said, we'll probably go over this again tomorrow, considering that this is a holiday Monday and we're working. We're laboring, but we'll probably get into it more tomorrow. But yeah, 2-2 draw for Atlanta United. And it was a point on the road and 5 teams. And I didn't do that. I didn't know that until just now when we were workshopping the math. 5 teams out of 29 in the league only have 500 or better records. Yes, it was an interesting list of people at the LAFC game. The over-under on Selena Gomez cutaways, I think it was 3 in the second half alone. 3 in the second half alone of Selena Gomez. And she seemed to be enamored / impressed with Lionel Messi and what she was staring at with Messi and friends. So, but yeah, that was a long list of folks. I think Rage Against the Machine was there last night. I don't know what. I mean, how are all these people there? Did they get tickets? Do they have tickets? Did they just call up LAFC? Hey, I want to get in. And LAFC's like, yeah, sure, we got plenty of space. And I wonder what the ranking system is. Prince Harry was there, Hutch? I was not aware of this. Yes, Bam, she was amazed at McCarthy's match last night, McCarthy's game. Where is that list? Let me see if I can find the list of folks who were there last night. And it was a cross section. I will say this. It was a cross section of folks that was there. Prince Harry. Prince Harry looked like he's enjoying himself there in the booth, in the box. Let's see. Will Ferrell showing off his ring. Yeah, and Leo DiCaprio was there. Apparently, he was having a popsicle of some description, and there were plenty of 26-year-old jokes. Okay, so here's the list from last night. From LAFC, this is on LAFC stationery. Alaman, a music artist. King Bach, a comedian and content creator. I've never heard. Be Real from Cypress Hill. Mookie Betts. Connie Britton, Friday Night Lights. We like her. Gerard Butler. I would have thought that maybe he would have done something pregame to the 32-52. Jamie Camel. Never heard of Jamie Camel. Leonardo DiCaprio, James Harden, Tom Holland. I'm sure I've heard of Tom Holland, but I can't remember. Bobo from Cypress Hill. And this is how they're listed. Be Real and Bobo, Cypress Hill / music artist. Tom Ellis, I don't know who Tom Ellis is. Will Ferrell, I know who Will Ferrell is. Liam Gallagher, I know who he is. Selena Gomez, actor / music artists. There's an Only Murders in the Building joke in here somewhere from the LAFC match last night, but I won't make it. Brendan Hunt, LeBron James. Thank you, Nix. Tom Holland is Spider-Man. Michael Keaton is Batman. LeBron James, NBA player. This is how LeBron James is listed on that list. NBA player / Lakers. James Harden, NBA player / 76ers. Clayton Kershaw, Prince Harry. No other designation. Prince Harry. Magic Johnson, LAFC owner. Mario Lopez, actor / Access Hollywood. So if Mario Lopez is there, where's Mark Paul Gosselaar and Tiffany Thiessen and Elizabeth Berkley? Where are they? Where is the equal amount of respect that should be shown for the rest of the class of Saved by the Bell? Sholomar Dueña from Cobra Kai. Meghan Markle, no other designation. See, and they weren't listed as a couple on this list. Prince Harry, and so and they try to do it alphabetically. So here's how it looks. Prince Harry, no further designation. And then alphabetically 4 slots below is Meghan Markle. Shouldn't they be like together since they're married? I'm just thinking. Tobey Maguire. So you had multiple Spider-Mans there last night? Probably pointing at each other in the room. Nas, music artist. Ed Norton. There were a couple of cutaways of Ed Norton last night. Bam, you mentioned Shavo. Shavo Adagian, System of a Down / music artist. Glenn Powell, actor. Had enough time to take away from Top Gun Maverick to go hang out. I am good, Rooster. I'm very good. Rage Against the Machine, where there's a group apparently. Rage Against the Machine, music artist. Rufus De Soul, music artist. I don't know Rufus De Soul. I'll tell you that right now. Hannah Stocking. Don't know Hannah Stocking. Apparently, Hannah is a comedian / content creator. Jason Sudeikis, actor. Oliver Trevina, actor. Don't know you. Tyga, music artist. See, I said Tyga. I knew it was Tyga, not Tiger, but Tyga. Even by looking at the spelling, I know it's Tyga. I know that they are a music artist. Julio Urias from the Dodgers, along with Mookie Betts, I guess. They came together. I'm guessing they carpooled. Owen Wilson, actor. Mario Williams, USC wide receiver. Caleb Williams, USC QB Heisman Trophy winner. And Stephen Yuen, actor. So out of the 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 35, 38 individuals plus Rage Against the Machine. Safe to say I knew most of them. But yeah, the whole Prince Harry and Meghan Markle on 2 separate lines, that's just weird. Yeah, Owen Wilson, Coach Beard, and Brendan Hunt and Sudeikis are regulars. Yeah, I've seen them a lot. And Bam doing the public service of letting us know that Be Real and Shavo worked on a song together, putting the link in the Twitch pitch. Yeah, Nick, I guess Andrew Garfield was too busy, or maybe he didn't rate. One of the two. So, yeah, of the 38 individuals plus Rage Against the Machine, I knew most of them, so that's not too bad. That's pretty solid. So that's your lineup last night from LAFC getting thumped by Messi and friends. So add them to the list. So we'll see what happens now on international duty. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on CONCACAF Nations League and do all those other kinds of show things. But we still got a handful of games this weekend, Major League Soccer, with playoff implications and makeup implications. There are a lot of crossovers, but we'll see what's going on. Since we have passed 10 o'clock, that means one thing, and it means that I've really got to lower down the music levels. Otherwise, I'm really going to blow my ears out. I don't want that to happen. But it's time to read a promo. It's about our friends at Eliminize Service. Rotor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go, and it's Eliminize Service. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching across the social media. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process Makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Like I said, I will admit, I don't know what a turnkey process is, but if it makes it easier to work with realtors and property managers so Lemonize can do their job and help you out, more power to you. Kind of the environment that I know about. Offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or other masking agents that you have either underneath the sink or above you in the cupboard, because when you reach under the sink or above you in the cupboard, and you take out that masking agent and you spray the masking agent in the air, there's a reason they call it a masking agent, because all you're doing is masking the odors. You're not attacking the problem like our friends at Lemonize Service are with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy, one of two ways to go about your business and theirs, either by the cubic foot or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go, it's the website. And this is where I pick up my pen, or one of my pens. Website's lemonize.com. But do us a favor here at SDH. After the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from so they can help you with your issues. Full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, lemonize.com /Atlanta. A Lemonize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH here all season long. On a Labor Day Monday, where folks get to hang out with us on a Monday and let us know that they're either shopping or cooking out or taking it easy. It's the beautiful part about these days of the week. So there you go. News from Stephen Goff within the hour. NYC announces it has loaned 22-year-old U.S. forward Gabriel Siegel with 10 matches and 2 goals to Hapoel Tel Aviv through next summer. So that's news out of NYC this morning. We'll go through all of the other things that went down this weekend. We'll go through what happened with the twos. Big week for the twos. We'll catch up, obviously, later this week with Steve Cook and get you ready for the match in Huntsville. 3-1 win for the twos in MLS Next Pro. And because of that, they're still hanging on and chasing after that 7 spot in the Eastern Conference and MLS Next Pro. Remember, in MLS Next Pro, it's the top 7 teams that make it to the postseason. And right now, Atlanta is 7 points out of 7th, and technically 6th, with 3 matches to play. 25 matches played, a record of 8-12, 5-1. That 1 is the shootout wins category, where if you're tied after 90 minutes, it's not a draw. They go straight to shootout, you get an extra point. So Atlanta United has been able to do that once this year already. 7 points out of a playoff spot, 3 matches to go. They need to win out or come up with max points and get some help. But the match against Huntsville will go a long way in determining what's going on, chasing after that 7 spot. If Atlanta United loses, if the twos lose in Huntsville, then they would be eliminated from postseason competition. They can get a point. They can take it to a shootout. So what they need is a result to keep their hopes alive and get some help. And they've got to keep an eye on Huntsville and Chicago Fire. Obviously, later this week, we'll have MLS Next Pro with a review preview. We'll have USL Championship review preview and Night Bam, time for bed. Just get some rest, and we'll be back at you again tomorrow. But for Atlanta United, too, they need a result in Huntsville. They need folks to keep an eye on what's going on with Chicago Fire. Like I said, Huntsville wins, then Atlanta United's out of the postseason. Atlanta United gets any kind of a result as long as Chicago continues to lose. Chicago loses, or Atlanta United can match the result of Chicago in that 7 if they don't get a win at Huntsville on Sunday. And keep an eye on things. I know it's a little confusing right now, but here's how it is. 4 teams are already in from the Eastern Conference in MLS Next Pro. Crown Legacy, they're now 4 points clear. They also got a match in hand on the Revs, 58 points to 54. Red Bulls 2 are third at 50 points. Crew 2 are in at 48. Orlando City Bees at 40. Then Hunt City and Chicago, once again, they're tied at 37 points, but Hunt City has one more win than the Fire. That's why they're in 6th, and the Fire are in 7th. NYCFC 2, they're at 33 points, along with Philadelphia. NYC has one more win than the Union, 10-9. Then Atlanta United 2 is at 30 points. TFC, still mathematically alive, but they need to win out and everybody else lose ahead of them and on top of them, and it's too many teams that they have to hopscotch. They're at 28 points. Still mathematically alive, but not by much. FC Cincinnati's lost to Atlanta United 2 on the weekend, eliminated them from postseason play. They're at 27 points, and Inter Miami was the first one eliminated out of the Eastern Conference, 18 points in 25 matches. They've allowed 62 goals this year. 62 goals. OCB's given up 58. FC Cincinnati 2's given up 56. Inter Miami, by the way, 25 matches, 26 goals. They've given up 62. And the last home game of the year on the 17th for Atlanta United 2 is against Inter Miami, 7:30. So it is a fun weekend for Atlanta and Messi and friends. Saturday afternoon at 5, Atlanta plays Messi and friends on the 16th. On the 17th in Kennesaw, it's the Twos going at each other for the last home game of the year for Atlanta United 2. So 16th and 17th, the big weekend against Messi and Friends 2, Electric Boogaloo. Western Conference right now, Rapids have clinched the division title with their activity this past weekend. They're 57 points, 9 points clear of Austin FC. If the Rapids lost out and Austin won out, it would still be one less win for Austin FC if they tied at 57 points. So the Rapids, they're number 1 in the West. Austin's at 48 points, Sporting Kansas City 47, Tacoma 46. Your 2, your 3, and your 4 have some confusion and stuff that they've got to sort out for the last 3 or 4 matches of the season. Tacoma's got a match in hand on Austin, Sporting, and Tacoma. 3 teams, 2 points. All Caps 2 are at 40 points. And once again, here's the fun part. In the West, it's group number 2, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Hassan Pfeffer Incorporated. All Caps are at 40 points. Earthquakes 2 at 39. Loons 2 at 38. That's your playoff bar. Dynamo Dos at 37 with 3 matches to go. And they have more wins right now than All Caps, San Jose, and the Loons. Vancouver's at 33 points with 3 matches to go. Timbers 2 at 31. They have 2 more wins than the Monarchs at 31 points. It sets up 10 and 11. North Texas, Los Dos, and LAFC 2 have been eliminated in the Western Conference. So last 3 weeks of the season, you've got positions to determine. You've got playoff spots to determine. So the race is different. The races are different in both conferences, but still there's stuff to play for with 3 matches to go, or 3 weeks to go in the MLS Next Pro season. So there's a lot of that activity that's going on. In the schedule, once again, we had all those matches yesterday to get you caught up. We have a match late tonight, and it is a makeup game, which will bring Tacoma Square 25 matches. They host Timbers 2 at Starfire tonight, 11 o'clock. It's on Season Pass. Everything kicks back in on Thursday. You got the 1 match on Thursday, the 2 on Friday, and they're all 3 matches, Eastern Conference matches. So nothing until the big Sunday. Chicago Fire in a crossover is at Sporting on Sunday. We mentioned Hunt City, 7 o'clock Eastern time, going up against Atlanta United 2 at Joe Davis. So there can be some scoreboard watching for Atlanta United 2. That match will be over with Chicago Fire before heading into the match with Huntsville. So Atlanta should have some ideas to what they need to do going forward with the result that Chicago would have had going up against Sporting Kansas City. So keep an eye on that. So Sunday, big day in MLS Next Pro when it comes to Atlanta United and the chase for postseason spots, chasing after that 7. So we'll keep an eye on all of that this week. And once again, we'll try to catch up with Jack Collison, friend of the show, friend of the network, and we'll find out what it's been like for him as they are north of the playoff bar after that start. So we got that going on. Tommy Scoops this morning with Kai Wagner. Apparently, there was an interview that Wagner did on local radio. Wagner says, quote, "It's probably my last year in Philadelphia now. It was not my decision, but I have to take it." Wagner will be one of the most coveted MLS free agents. This is Tommy Scoops talking. One of the most coveted MLS free agents if he chooses to stay in the league instead of going back to Europe. So it was, looks like it was an interview with Jose Roberto Nunez, but it does not look good with Kai Wagner and a possible future in Philly. So we'll have Kai Wagner possibly on the market. And yeah, Nick's, you're correct. Jack got Coach of the Month last month in Next Pro. He's doing really well. And, I mean, it's a different approach than what you're seeing with Atlanta United 2. You're bringing in older talent, Asad Liadi, folks like that have been in League One, and they're attached to Nashville, but we'll see. Like I said, it's a different approach than what you're seeing. They had Nicky Law, remember, before Nicky took the Tampa Bay Rowdies coaching gig. So it's older players. It's a different approach. And after those first matches that were all on the road, the first 7 that were on the road while they were getting their home stadium all squared away, held on the road for those first 7, got home, and they've done really well at home. So it's really cool to see. Be really cool to see Jack Collison on Sunday for everybody that wants to make the trip. Hutch. So if recent history is any guide, we have the first 20 minutes of the match to beat Inter Barca. Bring your scoring boots, boys, and shoot early and often. And Drake Callender, and I know that Jarrett will be the first person to talk about this too. Drake Callender has been out of his mind. He's been a solid keeper, but ever since Messi and friends have come in, Drake Callender has been upside down, and you can also reference times with Atlanta United and Inter Miami too. Drake Callender has kept them in matches. But I think what we've seen is, Hutch, to your point, when it comes to going up against Messi and friends, yeah, stupid good, Hutch, no doubt. I think Dallas was probably your key. And Dallas decided to run at the back line of Messi and friends. Understandably so, because it's Kamal Miller, Sergei Krivtsov, and DeAndre Yedlin, 3 of the 4. Run at them all day. Run them into the ground. Run. Get in behind them with your speed and with your power and put shots on Drake Callender. Dallas set up that template to get that 4-2 lead. Unfortunately, I think they ran out of gas and couldn't hang on. But I think run at that back line, which is slow back line. You can get in behind that midfield and work on that back line with that speed. Like I said, we saw it in the Dallas match in Leagues Cup. Dallas had a lead. They lost it. Run at the back. Run at Krivtsov and Kamal Miller all day long. Yeah, Sergei Krivtsov. Wow. Run at that back. Run at that back line. Get in behind them. That's what you got to do. I think Dallas is your template. Let's see. Other stuff going on this morning. Obviously, we had the final week of action in the Premier League. And stuff out of the Premier League, a couple of different things. Nick gets in his shot. Jadon Sancho. I don't know if you saw this, but Jadon Sancho is not a happy man right now at Manchester United. This is from Nick Ames at The Guardian this morning and yesterday afternoon. Jadon Sancho is probably not long for Manchester United, and probably if he should have said something, if he wanted to say what he's apparently saying, he probably should have said it a couple of weeks ago. and not just like now. Quoting our friend Nick Ames, Sancho's future at Manchester United may be in doubt after he used social media to take issue with Erik ten Hag's reasoning for leaving him out of the squad that lost at Arsenal, describing himself as a scapegoat. The forward seemed to accuse his manager of misrepresenting the facts behind his omission, which came after he had featured as a substitute in United's first 3 matches. Ten Hag picked a bench light on attacking experience at the Emirates with debutant Rasmus Højlund, Alejandro Garnacho, and the relatively untested Facundo Pellistri among his replacements, saying afterwards Sancho had been dropped due to his, quote, performances in training, end quote. Sancho on the 280-character app. Quote, please don't believe everything you read. I will not allow people saying things that are completely untrue. I've conducted myself in training very well this week. I believe there are other reasons for this matter that I won't go into. I've been a scapegoat for a long time, which isn't fair. All I want to do is play football with a smile on my face and contribute to my team. I respect all decisions that are made by the coaching staff. I play with fantastic players and grateful to do so, which I know every week is a challenge. I will continue to fight for this badge no matter what, end quote. Ten Hag, after the match that Arsenal won 3-1, and we'll get into that in a minute. After his defeat, Ten Hag rejected any idea Sancho was left at home for disciplinary reasons and explained he did not reach the standard required in recent practice sessions. Quote, you have to reach a level every day at Manchester United, and we can make choices in the front line. So for this game, he was not selected. Sancho joined United July 2021 in a high-profile, this is from The Guardian, a high-profile £73 million move from Borussia Dortmund, but he has rarely found his best form, losing his England place in the process. Ten Hag, who gave him 3 months off first-team duty last winter to deal with what the Dutchman termed physical but also mental issues, urged him during preseason to produce with greater consistency at the top level. So Jadon Sancho is probably going to be sitting a lot in the near future. Erik ten Hag, in that match that we were discussing, claims that key decisions went against Manchester United. And it was a very entertaining match. We were watching the second half, seated at the table, Drew Dickinson and I, getting ready for Oglethorpe in Transylvania. So we knew what was going on. By the way, Drew, big Manchester United fan. At the match yesterday with Oglethorpe in Transylvania, Drew comes in to the match. We're going to call the match. He comes in wearing his Manchester United jersey. That's how wired Drew was for this match. Declan Rice described the victory as must win for their title hopes. Rice scored their crucial second goal at 90+6. Gabriel Jesus settling the issue with the last significant action. Brought wild celebrations around the Emirates and a dark mood for Erik ten Hag, who said United had been robbed by a string of decisions that swung the match against him. Once again, this will go to Wednesday. And reffing down here. Rice was jubilant after a deflected strike broke his Arsenal duck. Okay, I can kind of guess what that means, but can somebody translate that for me? Is breaking a duck, is that like getting off the schneid? I'm just asking. Deflected a strike, broke his Arsenal duck, and beat Andre Onana, who apparently has unretired now for Cameroon. To effectively win a game, threatened to swing in either direction. I think if we're honest, Man City have won 4 out of 4. If we didn't win today, we would have been 5 points behind. To win that today was a must-win. To start with 3 wins and a draw is good. Once again, Ames, probably a just reward for Arsenal, whose performance was assertive, if often imprecise. But Ten Hag reeled off a list of calls that aggrieved him. Thank you, Nix. Broke his duck, got the first goal. He felt Kai Havertz should have been booked for diving after a penalty to Arsenal was reversed via VAR early in the second half. Yeah, I could see that because it looked like Wan-Bissaka didn't touch him, and he's going down. And I think it was, who was it to his right? Casemiro. And Casemiro, maybe, slightly, perhaps. But I could, I could see possibly giving a card to Havertz for a simulation. I could see that. Thought United should have had a spot kick of their own after Gabriel Magalhaes tussled with Rasmus Højlund. United's manager also said VAR made the wrong call when the apparent winner from Alejandro Garnacho was ruled out for offside. To complete the litany, he said Gabriel had obstructed Johnny Evans as the ball was sent over for Rice to convert. Quoting Ten Hag, quote, "Let's start at the penalty given but rejected. Everyone can see it's a simulation, but he didn't get booked for it. Then the foul on Højlund in the penalty area, and I don't think it was even noticed by the VAR. Then the disallowed goal from Garnacho. I think they looked from the wrong angle, and it's onside. So if they looked from the right angle, but this is what Erik Ten Hag has to understand, that with television and TV cameras, you only have what's available to you. You can't create camera angles. Well, if you have a camera angle here, if you look at all the camera angles that you've got and then you still come up with this decision, cool. If you're trying to create camera positions, then that's something that you got to hang on to. I think they looked from the wrong angle and it's onside, Garnacho. Then the final goal, how can they allow that? It's a clear and obvious foul on Johnny Evans. Otherwise, he would have blocked the shot from Declan Rice, so it's a lot. Ten Hag described United's performance as right and their attitudes as what we need. But they've now lost 2 of their 4 and been defeated in 9 of their last 11 away trips to teams in the top 10. He did say Jadon Sancho was fit to play. Arteta said Arsenal's late heroics was a moment that is going to stick with us. Only negative note he struck was news that Thomas Partey, who missed the game, will be out for weeks with a groin injury. So, suffice to say, Ten Hag was pissed. You got that. Jurgen Klopp has said, now remember, there's still a couple of days left in the Saudi window. Keep an eye on what else Saudi Arabia wants to do here over the next couple of days. Jurgen Klopp has maintained that no amount of money will tempt the club to sell Salah. I hate to break it to folks, but what is it we always say? What is it that we always say? Everybody's got a price. Everybody's got a price. What that price is for Mo Salah, we don't know. We're thinking it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of $200 million. Thinking $200 million. First it was $100 million. Al Ittihad was like, okay, here's $100. Liverpool's like, nah. They're up to $150. Liverpool's like, nah. There's been talk, and this is that nebulous word talk because it's tied to equally nebulous sources, that they're looking at $200 million. $200 million. Just as, it's like, yeah, what do you got in your wallet? And they're like canvassing. What do you got in your wallet? $200 million. Okay, let's try that. $200 million. Sure, why not? Is $200 million enough? And the larger question, would Mo Salah want to go? Jurgen Klopp can say whatever he wants to say about it. But The biggest question is, if Mo Salah wants to go, then once again, you're talking 3 days to determine this. If Mo Salah wants to go, will you stand in his way? At $200 million. Al-Ittihad is going to make Mo Salah a very, very rich man. Salary on par, if not exceeding, Benzema and Neymar. $1.5 million a week. 78 million pounds a year to be paid by the PIF, to be a part of the Big Four. And go to Saudi Arabia. Andy Hunter at The Guardian at Anfield said Dominic Soboslai says that Salah told the dressing room he wants to stay. Soboslai's full quote, he wants to stay, he wants to be here and be with us. We're really happy. We need people in the team like him, end quote. Klopp after the match on the weekend. He didn't tell me, but he didn't have to. He speaks with his training and performances and behavior. We had meetings this week, and the meetings were not about what we did in the past. It was about what we will do in the future. Mo was with the players committee, the leadership committee, and had his moments where he was talking, and it was nothing like, by the way, this is only until next week or whatever. He's completely here, and if Dom said that, fine. Mo doesn't have to come into my office and tell me, by the way, boss, I'm not going. For me, it wasn't a subject for 1 second, to be honest, besides the questions. When asked if Liverpool's position would remain the same in the final days of the Saudi window, Klopp replied yes. 150th game in which Mo Salah has scored for Liverpool was the Villa match. Trent Alexander-Arnold left with a hamstring injury, and we'll keep an eye on that for his participation in England's matches against Ukraine and Scotland. After the match, Klopp added, nobody came to me and told me something could happen or whatever. I'm pretty sure I would have got a call, but I didn't. Mo didn't look for a second like he thought about anything else other than about Aston Villa. He has unbelievable numbers. Not a surprise. He has the numbers. He's had chances on top of that and involved in creating and setting up all these kinds of things. He's a world-class player, no doubt about that, and I'm really pleased he's in my team, end quote. $200 million. That is what is probably going to be on the table as we go forward. So you look at the ratings for the transfer window now that it's done inbound. Arsenal, and these are on the scales of 4 and 5 stars. Arsenal 4 stars. Villa got 5. Signing Moussa Diaby. Tielemans, Zaniolo, Pau Torres, Longlong. Buyback clauses into Archer, Aaron Ramsey, and Jaden Philogene. 5 stars for Villa. Bournemouth got 4 stars. Tyler Adams, though, signed for 20. He's sidelined for a couple of weeks. Alex Scott, possibly for a couple of months. Got left back Milos Kerkez in. Deadline day, they wanted to get Patsandaka. That collapsed. And so now they're still stuck with Dominic Solanke up top. Brentford got 3 stars. Brighton got 4. Damn right they got 4. Bringing in Ansu Fati. Joao Pedro, Mahmoud Daoud, James Milner, Ansu Fati for Brighton. Burnley gets 4 stars. It's going to be a tough year for them. 14 players arrive. Total outlay, £90 million. Chelsea got 3 stars. Buying Caicedo and Cole Palmer. Crystal Palace got 3. They lose Zaha on a free, and they kept Olise and Eze. Bringing in Lerma, Rob Holding, Dean Henderson. But you got to score. Everton, sorry, Tom. Sorry, Ropes. 2 stars. Weaker than they were when Sean Dyche called for major changes. Fulham got 3 stars. They lose Mitrovic to the to Saudi Pro, but they bring in Joao Palhinha. Or the Joao Palhinha move was thought to have had transferred, but they kept Palhinha. Bringing in Alex Iwobi from Everton. So Fulham got 3 stars. Liverpool got 4 for everybody they brought in: Endo, Soboslai, Gravenberch, Al, and Alexis. Luton got a 4. Ross Barkley. Manchester City got a 4. Nunez, Kovacic, Vardiol, Doku. But you've got to wonder about Kevin De Bruyne's injury and no longer having Riyad Mahrez. Doku and Nunez. Can Doku and Nunez do the same thing that De Bruyne has been able to do? Yeah, next. Chelsea has spent more than $500 million, lost to Forest. That's not good. United got 2.5 out of 5. Højlund, Onana, Amrabat, which was a steal. Mount, Evans, Reguilon. Newcastle, 4 out of 5. Tonali, just ask Nick about Tonali when we saw them here. Forest got a 4. More depth on the squad. Sangare coming in. Sheffield United got a 2. Spurs got a 3. West Ham got a 3.5. Wolves got a 3. Wolves got a 3. Well, I guess because of what they were able to get for Nunez. Nunez didn't want to play. He was sitting. Bring in Bellegarde from Strasbourg, but they lost Nunez and Ruben Neves, even though you did bring in a boatload of money. Brennan Johnson moving in from Nottingham Forest. What I worry about from Forest, scoring. That's going to be the big part for me. If Sangare can be a part of that, then Forest will be okay. But I think that there's going to be a lot of clubs that are going to be wondering what ifs going forward. And who had James Maddison and Youngmin Son as the duo for Spurs? Jarrett probably did, with all of what his knowledge of Ange Postecoglou. James Ward-Prowse doing well for West Ham. Kyle Walker staying till 2026 now with Manchester City. Billy Gilmore, Brighton. Love watching Brighton. Absolutely love watching Brighton. But if we look at what's going on currently after the first 4 matches, except for Luton and Burnley because Kenilworth Road wasn't ready. And we'll get into Prem and Proper later in the week. Also, we'll lay things out here. Man City, perfect through 4. Spurs, Liverpool, West Ham, Arsenal. Goal difference being the difference, 2 through 5. Brighton, Palace. Then you get into goal difference and the gap in the middle. Brentford, Forest, Villa, Man United's 11th. Chelsea's 12th. Fulham well behind on goal difference at 13. Newcastle, 3 points in 4 matches. And then now Newcastle, when you get into Champions League, is in the groupiest of the groups of death you will have ever been in. There'll be an early test for them. But if they, and Alex, I ask this openly to Newcastle supporters, to all of you Geordies. If you lose in groups so you can focus on chasing after Premier League hardware, is that necessarily a bad thing? To get back into Champions League? Make sure that you can chase a Champions League spot. I know it's early, but you're 7 points out of playoff spots after the first 4 matches. And you're going into Champions League in one of the groupiest groups of death ever in the groups of death. What do you want to have accomplished in Champions League? What do you want to accomplish in that group of death if you're a Newcastle fan? What do you want? What do you want out of that group? And Groupies of Death would make a good band name. But you've got the groupiest groups of death, this year. It's one of the groupiest groups of death you will have ever come across, ever in the history of ever, with this particular group that we have. And whoever doesn't make it out alive probably does themselves a favor in getting out of the competition. I know you want to pursue what you want to pursue in that competition, but you're going to get beat up. So that's why I ask Newcastle fans, what do you want? What do you want in all of that? Well, and then you go 15 through 20, the bottom six. Wolves, Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Everton, Luton, and Burnley. Out of that group, and I know that I will probably continue to ask this question and ask it and ask it and ask it because we'll continually update things out of, writing all this stuff in pencil to begin with. But who do you think gets relegated? I think Luton gets relegated. I think Sheffield United gets relegated, but then that comes to that third slot. I think Burnley will have enough talent. I think Vincent Kompany is good enough of a coach to win the games down at the bottom of the table that you're supposed to win. Everton worries me, and I know it worries Tom and Ropes, that they're not bringing in talent and they're not scoring goals, and right now they're at a -6 in goal difference after the first 4 matches. Bournemouth, I think, will have enough talent to stay afloat. Wolves worries me. So literally, I'm looking at Luton, some combination of Luton, Everton, Sheffield United, and Wolves. Wolves don't seem like they want to invest. And they're more than happy to take the money, disposing of a player like Mateus Nunes. They're like, yeah, okay, that's cool. 53, we're good. And they don't want to reinvest it. But we'll see what happens in the January window. So Wolves, Sheffield United, Everton, who once again aren't investing. Luton, and like I said, I think Burnley will survive because of Vincent Kompany and his knowledge of the Premier League. So I've got Luton, Everton, Sheffield United, Wolves for those 3 spots. So that's what you're looking at. At least from that perspective when it comes into the Premier League. I still have 4 for 3. And it's the same, like I said, it's the same grouping that we always have. There's a couple of teams in the Premier League that will sit there and go, yeah, we ain't spending any money, and Everton is an example of that. They're trying to build Bramley Moore Dock, trying to build a stadium, trying to avoid FFP and all those penalties. And so you're kind of like, I don't know if Everton's going to spend. They need to, but they probably won't. Wolves just aren't. And then you have a team like Luton who was going to have problems up top scoring goals. You wondered where the goals were going to come from for Luton Town. I would suggest if you have the kind of disposable income that you have to go and watch a Premier League match at Kenilworth Road while you can. I think Luton's a one and done. Sheffield United, I think, will put up a brave fight, but I don't think that they will end up doing. I don't think they'll survive this year unless they stay up and both Wolves and Everton were to go down. So, like I said, I've got 4 for 3. 2 of the new guys, 2 of the established teams, and we'll see what happens. But that will be a rolling question this season when it comes to what we think is going to happen and how we think it's going to happen. So, like I said, that's my thoughts when it comes to Prem and Proper. And obviously, like I said, we'll have Prem and Proper out later this week. when it comes to the Premier League. We'll look back at what happened in the week that was, and we'll get you ready for anything else that's going on. We'll catch you through the last transfer periods and things like that, and we'll keep you posted on everything that's going on in the Premier League. So once again, traffic later this week, probably tomorrow. USL Championship, USL League One, MLS Next Pro shows after the Tacoma match tonight. Those will be out on Tuesday. Prem and Proper out on Thursday to get you ready for Friday, or maybe even out on Friday. So we'll see what happens. Let me see. I'm looking at my grid. Like I said, we're still chasing after those 1v1s. We'll have some guests tomorrow. Lloyd Hours from the Marshall Islands will be on at 9:30 tomorrow. We'll talk about that. Chasing some guests. Unified, Hunt City, Celtic women, by the way. We're chasing after some stuff overseas for here in the footprint. So we'll see what life is like there. And we'll have that as a 1v1. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully Bart can join us for Bart's regular segment, 10:30 on Wednesday, to add some reffing down here. So keep your reffing down here questions coming and revisit them with Bart, whether it's with Bart and his Arsenal match, with Atlanta United and Miles Robinson, Brooks Lennon, and Izmir Pekmic, or if it has to do with Ted Uncle and what happened with what was going on with Messi and friends and LAFC, or anything else when it comes to your mind. So once again, Wednesday, 10:30, Bart, reffing down here, national team stuff. That's always his 10:30 slot. 10 o'clock, if Dylan Butler can join us, Dylan can come in as he's navigating the beginning of the school year for youngins inside the gates of Dylan Butler Estates. So we'll have that. And we'll try to track down the USL guys and have them on Thursday. And they can drop by at 10 for a good 20, 25 minutes to discuss what's going on in USL Championship, USL League One. And then Nico Moreno will come on, talk about the week that was when it comes to Major League Soccer with the Pacific perspective. And then, so Nico will be on 10:30 on Thursday to kind of take us through and let you know what's going on with all of that. Once again, we got about 10 minutes. Let's go through gossip, rumor, and innuendo. And we will let you know what's going on across the board because, once again, remember, we still have windows open around this particular part of the planet. From our friends at the BBC, Joel Polina's brother says the 28-year-old midfielder, the move has only been postponed after it broke down on deadline day. That's from the four-letter paper. Mo Salah, once again, he told his teammates, we talked about what was going on, what he said with staying at Anfield in the Mirror. Sergio Ramos is in advanced talks over a return to Sevilla 18 years after leaving the club to join Real Madrid. He left PSG this summer when his contract expired. Fenerbahce, interested in signing Arsenal's Jorginho, could make a move for the Italy international before the transfer window in Turkey closes September 15th. So keep an eye on Fenerbahce and Jorginho. League One side Lorient opted against making a deadline day move for Donny van de Beek because of his attitude earlier in the summer after they had agreed a loan deal with Manchester United. That comes from our friends at L'Equipe. So we keep an eye on that. Interesting. Chelsea cleared the path for Spurs to sign James Maddison in the summer because he didn't fit the age profile of their transfer targets. That comes from our friends at Football Insider. David De Gea, a number of players still available on free who are interesting Saudi clubs. That's from Marca. Atletico Madrid and their winger Yannick Carrasco set to move to Saudi Pro League side Al Shabab for £12.8 million. Remember, once again, later this week, like Thursday, is the end of the window for the Saudi Pro League until they decide that they want to expand it some more. Wayne Rooney's hopes of signing Ravel Morrison, Jesse Lingard, or Andre Ayew, who are all free, have been dashed by salary cap issues at DC United. And that is from our friend Stephen Goff at the Washington Post. So, no real surprise there because, once again, part of the navigation of all of this when it comes to Major League Soccer, and it's a point that we've made And a point that we have discussed is that you have to adjust the rules. You've got to adjust the rules of engagement, adding a DP, having a floor, having a ceiling, make it a cap, not $7.5 million total. Introducing the 2027 numbers next season. What Jorge _Moss and everybody down at Messi and Friends have done is kind of shaken the league and sat there and it's like, look, bro, we're going. You want to come with us or not? And you got to have that stuff. But cap issues will always be there. Monaco planned to try and sign Fulham center back Tosin Adarabioyo in January after pushing hard to get a deal done for him in the summer window. Barcelona are unhappy. They're unhappy with Manchester City's attempts to sign Spain left back Alejandro Balda, who is 19, newly called up winger Lamine Yamal, 16, and Spanish youth international Pau Cubarsí, 16 this summer. That's from our friends at Mundo Deportivo. Chelsea and Brazil defender Thiago Silva argued with fans on Instagram after the club's defeat by Nottingham Forest on Saturday. It's from our friends at the Telegraph. So Thiago Silva was arguing with folks on Instagram. That doesn't sound good. Does not sound good at all. Going to our friends at Sky and rolling through the papers before we let you know what you can watch today. Watch over the next couple days. Obviously, Ref Watch for our friends at Sky has become a big item with Saka with his red, possibly. Garnacho being offsides, possibly. I know that there's also a lot of talk in Scotland about Michael Beale. How much time do you give him with their rough start to the season? Papers from our friends, through our friends at Sky, obviously avoiding the 3 and the 4-letter papers as we always do. Mason Greenwood to Getafe. According to the Times, a leading abuse charity in Spain has condemned Mason Greenwood's season-long loan move to Getafe as, quote, setting a terrible example and said that the transfer should be overturned. And also, something else to keep in mind, all of the discussions involving the sale of Manchester United, there's discussion that it may not now happen. The Glazers now want $10 billion, and they now have a new sale date in mind. But it appears that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sheikh Jassim may not be getting any piece of Manchester United. And that the Glazers, after all, maybe they just thought that they could drive up the price and see if they could kick the tires and see if they could still be active in it. But now it looks like it might be taken off the market. So Manchester United being taken off the market, maybe we'll keep an eye on that. Daily Star says Manchester City are to offer Erling Haaland a massive new contract worth close to double his current salary. No real surprise. But once again, you sit there and you're going, you want to control the asset. That's what you want to do. You want to control the asset. Set the $1 billion release clause and make sure that anybody who's interested, Saudi Pro, PSG, anybody would have to pay a massive amount of money. Pay a massive amount of money if they wanted to get anywhere close to Erling Haaland. Daily Express, Ange Postecoglou said to have blocked a deadline day move which would have seen Spurs midfielder Giovanni Lo Celso leave the club on loan and join Barca. Joao Felix agreed to cut his wages in half to help facilitate the loan move from Atletico Madrid to Barca last week. Thiago Silva on the Instagram post told a fan, put the pressure on me. England's multiple injury doubts on the women's side, standing captain Courtney Laws, 2 training sessions to prove their fitness before the opening World Cup fixtures against Argentina Saturday. I think that's rugby. That's good work by me. I know this will shock you. Scottish from the Scottish papers, Rangers fans clashed in the stands at Ibrox after the defeat to Celtic. Who knew? Never would have guessed that one. Never would have guessed that would have ever happened. Ever, ever, ever. Yeah, but from our friend Kaveh Solokal, bidders still remain interested in the takeover, believe the club remains up for sale, despite that report in the Sunday papers that claim the Glazers are planning to take Manchester United off the market with a plan of putting the club back up for sale in 2025, when they believe that valuation will be between 7 and 10 billion pounds. Those involved in the process, according to Kaveh, including merchant bank Rain, have not been told of any change. Sheikh Jassim, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the only serious bidders by the end of the takeover process, fell short of the valuation the Glazers set. Understand they want $6 billion. There's always been a strong possibility that the Glazers will not sell, according to Kaveh, having never officially put the club up for sale. Elliott Management, who are also sniffing around, that's another U.S. hedge fund, offering investment into the club, which could have allowed the Glazers to remain as majority stakeholders. Remember, Sir Jim Ratcliffe had it pegged at about 30% of Glazers' interest. Sheikh Jassim, 100% debt-free, Glazers not involved. Elliott Management offering investment, the Glazers could be majority stakeholders. Remember, this goes back to 2005 with the leveraged buyout. Gary Neville's skeptical the Glazers will take Manchester United off the market, but we will see about all of that. I know that this will shock you once again. When it came to all of the fans, Lyon apparently was mad, and they dressed down their fans, and they dressed down their team. I know that shocked you. Ultras dressing down a team on the weekend. Who knew? So we'll keep an eye on all of that stuff. What to watch today? What is there to watch today, you ask? Well, we'll tell you. You've got Libertadores and you've got Sudamericana. You've got Big Ten. On the B1G, you've got 7 o'clock. You've got men's soccer. Gold TV has the Ecuadorian Primera and the Portuguese Primera. ACC Extra College Soccer starting at 5:30. B1G Plus at 1 o'clock on the women's side, 5 o'clock on the men's side. League One at 3 o'clock on the Plus. College men has already started. Oakland, the Golden Griffins of Oakland taking on the Ramblers of Loyola Chicago on the men's side. Happy Labor Day, 11 o'clock soccer. Going all the way through 10 o'clock kicks tonight. Flow FC has some action in the Big East and in Division 2. All Eastern Coast material starting at 1 o'clock. Fox Soccer Plus has the CPL at 2. Don't be surprised if that ends up on FS2 as well. Halifax and York. Paramount Plus has the Argentine Primera, Barraca Central and Arsenal at 5. Union Santa Fe and San Lorenzo at 7. How can I watch all this stuff if I don't have it currently, you ask? Well, I'll tell you, and we'll end it this way. Go to Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps out them, helps out us, helps you out as well. You can watch Tay Say. You can watch For the Fans. You can watch CDO. You can watch all the BNs. You can watch the Brasileiro. It is available on Fanatis as well. So a lot of the South American, Central American stuff is available for you. The BNs as well, Middle East, North Africa. That's available for you as well. Once again, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps them out, helps us out. And I blame Jason because he got me hooked. So I will watch a lot of that stuff today. And I'll watch it. I watch it a lot. I will not lie. But I do watch Fanatis a lot, fntz.co/soccer down here. So tomorrow, we'll be back at it again. Chasing after guests. Once again, Lloyd Hours, Technical Director of the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. He'll be joining us at 9:30 from England. And he'll let us know about his 9 days over there, getting them started with futsal programs and where things stand with the Marshall Islands Project, the only nation in the world that does not have a national men's soccer team, but they are working to rectify that. So we'll catch up with Lloyd tomorrow and get ready for everything else on your Tuesday. So once again, thanks to everybody for helping walk us through all of this. And we will be back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning, when we'll probably talk a little bit more about Major League Soccer. We'll get back into talking about Atlanta United and the twos and all that kind of stuff. And we'll get into reffing down here as we go and be mad. On Tuesdays, we get ready for Bart Keeler and his segment for full reffing down here on Wednesday. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us as you always do across all of our different social media platforms, on the Twitch, on the 280 character app, and on the Facebook and on the YouTube once this stuff is posted. Don't forget to download the Soccer Down Here app, available iOS and Android. You can either download the SDH app available on the Google Play Store, or go to Spreaker, like speaker with an R in the middle, Spreaker, and do a search for Soccer Down Here. Some big things coming up for the network as we continue to go here as well. Enjoy the rest of your Labor Day. Be safe. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy your Monday. Take it easy, because we'll be back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha plati, y'all. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, 9:05. Be safe.